Episode 10 of Soccerheads New England. I'm Dave Rattigan alongside Paul Nardizzi. Jim Ruberti, shocker, is not here this week. But we're here. The two of us are here. Two of us are dedicated. Two of us are holding up the high standard of excellence that we've been shooting for.
It's called going to work. Isn't that what we call it?
Yeah. I should have mentioned that about Jim. He doesn't really go to work. Check us out at our Facebook page or our email, soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. And please share us. If you like soccer and you want us to continue, share us. And if you don't like the show, just keep quiet about it.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jim Ruberti's not here because he's gallivanting around the country. I think he's in Florida visiting his kids. Visiting his kids at school. What a terrible thing to do to your kids. What college-age kid wants to see their parents? Yeah, exactly. It's like, stop staring at my girlfriend's dad. I'm with Paul Nardizzi. I'm Dave Rattigan. I'm with Paul Nardizzi, comedian, soccer player, and soccer parent. You had, what do you have, 4 boys, 3 played soccer?
No, all 4 played in high school.
How many played in college?
3.
3, and one of them played Division I, and he's went on to play pro.
In Michigan, yep.
All right, so let me ask you this, Paul. Do you love him more?
Do I love him more?
Yeah, than the other 3?
No.
Tell me the truth.
No, you can't love one more than the other. You can hate one more than the other, but you can't love one more than the other.
Which one do you hate the most?
We'll talk about that off the cast.
All right, fine. Dave Rattigan, that's me, comedian and formerly an award-winning sports writer who knows surprisingly little about soccer, which means that we're here again, and Jim, who actually knows something about soccer, and Paul, who knows something about soccer. Well, it's going to be Paul's expertise because you're the only expert here, Paul.
Okay.
All right.
You're learning, though. I think every week you get a little bit smarter.
Every
so
week
does
I
Dale.
Yeah. Dale gets smarter by every time we look at him. Dale gets smarter, and Dale's learned so far that when you mention his name, he just looks down, and that way we're not going to talk to him anymore, not bring him in here to talk about what he knows. But it's hard to have an expertise type of a conversation when, I mean, you're adding something content-wise, but then it's my turn, and I'm like, so soccer, that's played with a ball, right?
It is good to have that third guy in to play off, but we're going to have to get used to this. It's going to be you and me.
I think we are used
for the long run.
We are used to it. And the funny thing is, we can rank on him as much as we want when he's not here. He doesn't listen. He has no idea what we say about him.
It's true.
Just think of something to say really rotten about him, but do it like at the 40th minute. So he's going to have to listen to the whole thing to get to that part. And I guarantee he won't know. All right, give it some thought. We have 4 things on the agenda today. Or is it? It's 5 things. It's 5 things we've got. Great story out of France. 5 things on our agenda. USA, Mexico, a big win for the USA. New rules for soccer. Paul's got some suggestions. It's the side of the Division I soccer tournament. We'll talk about the men's division. And then finally, 2 bits of controversy. One is shades of Tanya Harding, an assault in France, and the question of who's behind it. Fascinating story. Finally, controversy in the girls' soccer side of the high school tournament. And here in Massachusetts, we'll discuss whether 8th graders provide an unfair advantage in girls' high school soccer and whether or not adults ruin everything. Paul, any thought about adults ruining everything?
Oh, you want to tackle that number 5 right away?
No, I just
absolutely adults ruin everything.
Okay, good. That's the point. But first, we got to do plugs. This is Paul's favorite part of the podcast. It's when I talk about Rick Spencer, our sponsor, financial advisor extraordinaire. For years, Rick has been speaking to parents at seminars for soccer clubs, youth leagues, and the public. It's free. It'll help you get your kid into college, and not just if they're a soccer player. Rick is also my financial advisor, and as I've said to Paul many times, if not for Rick, I'd be standing at the entrance to the mall begging for money every weekend and not just on Thursday nights. To have Rick come speak to your club, team, league, or group, or to check out some of his free seminars in your area, call him at 978-857-7573. Rick Spencer, our sponsor.
I've actually picked up this month's edition of Forbes. And Rick's on the cover.
Rick's on the cover? That's what did he,
he's wearing a money suit too.
He's wearing a money
dollar
suit.
Bill, yeah.
Wow.
Looks good.
He didn't mention it to me.
So, yeah.
All right. So pick up Forbes and see Rick's picture on the cover. And is it a money suit? Does he have a soccer ball with him? No. All right. Also, if your league, team, or club needs to raise money and you want to have a great time doing it, you should hire the Soccerheads Experience. It's more than a comedy show. It's an event that your community will never forget, with soccer-themed humor and bells and whistles. Want to make money and have fun? Email Jim Ruberti at soccerheadsnewengland@gmail.com. Let's talk about USA Mexico. Now, am I correct, Paul, that when the USA plays Mexico, am I correct to say that you get into your little onesie pajamas that have USA, USA, USA on them, and you take a big thing of popcorn?
I am not a loser. Stop it. I sit like a normal person and I watch the game.
Oh, you sit as if you were a normal person? Is that?
Yeah.
All right, in a onesie.
Yes.
All right. And you yell USA, USA, USA until your wife comes downstairs and says, "Paul, it's 3 a.m. You've got to shut up."
Because I'm gonna maybe go a little too far and say it was the best we've ever played as a country.
Really?
Yes.
The best.
The best we've ever played as a country.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it mean?
That we have a really good young team. Okay, it's not a team you'd want to drink with because most of them can't.
Oh,
literally
terrible.
3 18-year-olds, a 19-year-old, a couple 23-year-olds. So they're going to be really good coming forward.
Okay.
Mexico is, I think, the 9th rated team in the whole world. We're about 14 or 15.
Really?
But we manhandled them.
Okay.
Manhandled them, honestly.
And
why am I telling you this? Why didn't you watch?
It was $70. It was $70 to buy the app. I should have taped it. I don't know why you guys didn't.
What app costs $70? Dale's over here shaking his head. There's no app that costs.
It's a subscription service. It's a subscription.
Oh, well, if you just texted me, I would have given you my login, and you could have watched.
I didn't think of that. All right. So fine. I was watching important things.
Okay, I'll be the eyes and ears on this.
I was watching Nova.
So yeah, so Turner was on the bench, the Revs goalie. Mm-hmm. They went with Zach Steffens. And when we talked about goalies a few weeks ago, I told you how I don't know a lot about goaltending. So I like goalies that can play with their feet. Mm-hmm. And this kid can play with his feet. Can
I tell you the thing about goaltending?
They have to get large.
They have to get big.
Neither one of those two is very big. I mean, they're tall, but they're not big.
Well, do they spread their arms out?
Yeah, but they're not gym big.
Yeah,
they're just
that's
big.
A good point. They don't. It's so funny because now, like every time I think about getting, the goalie, I think to myself that he probably gets a pot and a pan and bangs them together and scares the opponent. I do know this about the USA. For years, the word of the USA was good athletes, fast, big, but they didn't have it, whatever it is. They didn't have it's not they didn't have the individual skills. It wasn't that they didn't have great athleticism. They just didn't have the polish, the genius of other teams. Yeah. Is that
good word? Nuance. Just players that have that little bit of extra flair or ability to see something that a regular player doesn't see.
Yeah.
An angle where I can put a ball in here, we get a breakaway.
Yeah.
But sometimes they don't see it and they just play sideways or backwards.
Okay.
So just to go back to a sec. So Zach Steffens is in net.
Yeah.
He's playing with his feet.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Turner's not good at.
Okay.
So if I watched you and Turner play goal, he's 10 times better than you, but he's probably not much better than you with his feet. He's literally kind of bad.
Really?
Yes.
Which is going to be worse than me with his feet.
With his feet, he's not good.
Okay.
So which is going to be interesting because Zach Steffens plays for Man City. He's the backup, but they clearly see something in him. They wouldn't bring him overseas for that.
Right.
So if Turner never gets that big deal, it's probably because they don't really like goalies who can't play with their feet. So
what's it mean to play with your feet? I know what it means when I know what it means in other sports to play with your feet. Mm-hmm. It means basically to keep your feet moving backwards so that you can stay with the offensive player and that you can keep moving, because the idea is when you can't move with your feet, and when you can't keep up with your feet, you start to reach. And when you start to reach, you're off balance, you commit penalties, you hook a trip if it's hockey, you grab if it's football, and you foul if it's basketball. And you get beat. You give up layups, you give up breakaways, you give up long passes over the top. So in soccer, when you're talking about a goalie, what do you mean play with his feet?
I mean, he looks like some of the midfielders with his passes. So he's getting a back pass from the left outside defender. And then he's looking up and he's seeing two Mexican players and he's splitting them with a pass really fast on the ground to this guy. And if Turner's there, Turner's going to just boot it out to midfield.
Okay.
So that pass takes out two of their guys. That this player turns and goes forward, and you got maybe a 7-on-6 down there.
Yeah.
All because of him.
Because the goal of every sport, with the exception of baseball, is to create a 2-on-1 or a man advantage situation.
Yeah.
Where we've got two of our players on one of their players.
Yeah.
So the fact that he can move the ball, am I correct to say that's a fairly new thing for goalies, right? I mean, at one point the keeper
last few decades, absolutely.
Last few decades?
Yeah, I mean, it's not brand new, no, but it's becoming more of a trend.
Right, which is basically the heady play, the push the ball forward and create an advantage, even if it's not way down the other end of the field. It's just an advantage on our side of the field is still an advantage.
Yes.
Okay.
Baseball has 2-on-1s. If you have one guy in the stalls checking, you have two guys shooting up steroids. That's to your advantage. That's a 2-on-1.
Is that the
he'll catch one, the other one will get the juice, and then he'll go. I hate baseball.
I thought you mean if you had like one guy pitching, and yet the offensive team's got the hitter and the guy banging the drum.
Yeah, that's 2-on-1 as well.
Coming. Yeah, the man advantage. All right, let's talk about this. We'll go to this rules changes. Since you wanted to switch and talk about something other than the truth of USA Mexico soccer, let's talk about the rules changes. You've got suggestions for rule changes. Now, what brings this up again?
This is just a barroom conversation. Don't you ever converse with people about, say, I wish in the NBA they would get rid of the calling a timeout when you're in midair before you're about to land out of bounds? You ever say that to people?
I've never said that specific thing.
Isn't that a dumb thing? You're in midair timeout.
You know something? When I'm in barroom conversations with people, usually what I'm talking about is world peace. Why don't we get rid of all the nukes? When are we going to save our environment? When are we going to
I'm more trivial in life with my conversations, I guess.
All right.
So here's the rules I would like to see changed.
All right.
A current rule is anyone can throw the ball in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yet people will generally say soccer, the goalie's only one can use hands.
Yeah.
Yet everyone can use hands. Everyone can throw it in.
Okay.
I would like to see them get rid of throw-ins. For two reasons. One, at the lower levels like high school, you have that big goon who has no skill, but he's on the field because he can throw it into the box.
Why are you talking that way about Dale when he's here? So you've got a big goon and he's on the team because he can throw the ball?
Into the box, so you have a corner kick every time the ball goes out of bounds in their half. It's a free throw-in into the box.
You know, the mayor of Beverly.
Yeah, as a long throw-in?
They used to always say that he was a pretty good player. He was a good player in high school, but they used to always talk about how well he could throw the ball. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what a weird thing to talk about. I guess he could throw the ball pretty well. But he was that guy. But he wasn't a goon. He was a good player. I
go to a lot of soccer games. The guy who can do that is usually not very good because he's spent most of his time practicing that.
Huh. All right. But he's a big. Is he a fullback?
Usually.
Is he?
Which brings me to my next point.
Is he a bruiser?
Sometimes.
Okay, so you've got a big bruising fullback.
Yeah.
Who throws the ball in? Who's got that skill?
Yeah.
And it's a huge advantage to have that kid who can throw the ball in. Huge.
And not only that, but a lot of times it's an illegal throw.
Because it's not straight over the head. So they don't
call it anymore.
They don't call it anymore if it's a little to the right, a little to the left. They used to call it all the time.
You weren't allowed to spin when we were playing when we were kids. So it's spinning and it's all one hand. It's almost like he's throwing a football.
Yeah.
And this hand's just sort of guiding it and he's throwing it into the box.
And they never
call it.
But the rule is still on the book, so you've got to.
Yeah. But here's the thing, that fullback sometimes is on the right side.
Yep.
Now, I am there to watch soccer.
Yep.
Okay? If you came with me, I would assume you're there to watch soccer. Yep. I'm not there to watch him
I'd just be there to pal around with you.
Field.
Because you're a pleasure. You're a pleasure to hang with.
I am not there to watch him walk across the field to throw the ball in on the other side of the field.
Okay.
So at least, if you're not going to get rid of throw-ins, you cannot spend more than 10 seconds getting the ball thrown in or it's the other team's ball. I don't want to wait for that kid. When they're winning and they're trying to waste time, he'll take 35, 40 seconds just to get over there. Then he'll dry the ball with his shirt. He'll bounce it a couple. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
All right. So you want to get rid of the throw-in.
Yes, but